Hello friends, Adam Welch here for a special episode this morning. You know, the internet is a fascinatingly diverse place, a place of virtually endless wells of knowledge, the likes which haven't been seen since the days of the library in Alexandria. For us photographers, the internet has become an almost indispensable creative conduit, a place where we can connect with our audience and market our work and ourselves to the world. Unfortunately, the internet is also full of dicks. People who seem to exist for little else other than to make rude, snarky, or downright hurtful comments for seemingly no reason at all. The worst part is that becoming a dick happens kind of gradually, and in this age of social media and instant feedback, well, it's becoming more and more difficult to know when you're being a dick on the internet. You could be a dick right now and not even know it. That's why today we're going to look at 5 easy to follow rules that can help you not to be a dick on the internet. These are simple concepts that anyone, not just photographers, can follow to help make the internet just a little bit nicer for everyone. Rule number 1, don't be a dick. Yes, as counterintuitive as it might sound, indeed the most straightforward way to not be a dick on the internet is to simply not be a dick. I know, it's easy to become disconnected and forget that you're actually sending that nasty tweet or posting that hastily drafted comment to a real human being. It's not just some faceless electronic screen. Remember, there is a person at the other end of that wire. When in doubt, ask yourself, would I truly say this out loud and in public to this person? Could my words result in undesirable interpersonal consequences should this interaction be taking place in a real social setting? This recent fictional science graph does indeed show that as the risk of consequences for one's actions decreases, there is an accompanying increase in the occurrence of dickish behavior. Perhaps most intriguing, the data also presents an inverse correlation between overall coolness and the development of physical, in-person social skills as opposed to the incidence of dickish comments and general rudeness over time. Of special note is that these metrics meet at a point of congruency just below the accepted international coolest point established by John Bonham in 1977. No doubt both of these relationships are a result of both positive and negative historic environmental feedback. So always keep this in mind. Would the physical proximity of a person have any bearing on what you might say to them? If so, think twice before you hit that keyboard. This leads us to rule number 2. Let it go. Believe it or not, I am in fact a professional photographer and working author, having written over 200 online educational articles on photography. I'm the host of a comprehensive web-based video series on Adobe Lightroom. I've written 2 books on photographic concept, technique, and post-processing, with my 3rd on composition set to launch any day now. I also managed to single-handedly run one of the all-time most popular Kickstarter campaigns for a personal photo book ever. So I hope you believe me when I tell you that I've had to handle more than my fair share of dicks on the internet over the years. Our pictures and our projects tend to be like our children. We work hard to see them grow. We're protective. It can be difficult not to respond rashly when someone makes a terrible, dickish remark aimed at our precious work. It's in times like these when you might want to lash out and say, "Hey, why would you say that? That hurts. I've never done anything to you. Take that back, you dick." This is wrong. While there will of course be times that you act a little impulsively and fire back with an equally dickish comment, something like, "Your opinion means less to me than a truckload of dead rats in a tampon factory." Hey, we all slip. Instead, try this. Simply take a few breaths and let it go. Put down the phone, close the computer, turn off the screen, get up and walk around for a while. Watch The Big Lebowski. Have yourself a big bacon sandwich. In his discourses, Epictetus reminds us that the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself, to the choices that are my own. This means that you can never control the actions of others. Only train yourself to respond undickishly to dickish remarks. This is something that I think we can all stand to work on. Rule 3. If you don't have anything nice to say, say nothing at all. We've all seen them. Bad photographers who think they're good, bad photographers making terrible pictures, horribly constructed photos so sour to the eyes that you might not be able to comprehend how another person could share them, proudly holding them up as a shining light of artistic and creative sunlight, expecting us all to bask in their brilliance. Instead of voicing your perhaps justifiable, albeit unsolicited concerns or opinions, try this. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't be some dick on the internet. Now, depending on the situation, if you find yourself unable or unwilling to offer any sort of constructive, tactful criticism that might actually help the poor bastard make a better picture, then just don't say anything at all. It's better to say nothing than to say the wrong thing at the wrong moment. No one truly suffers from a comment not made, especially in the world of photography. However, there can be times when you will be faced with an inescapable event where you must offer an honest, directly requested opinion on a person's less than inspiring photos. Common questions that signal danger is near include, what do you think of this? Should I frame this? Isn't this great? I think this is the best picture I've ever taken, don't you? In these sticky predicaments, try this sequence of handily evasive euphemisms in this precise order. Generally, they land no matter the responses presented by the other party and function to provide a possible escape route should the conversational circumstances turn grim. Oh, where did you take that? Was that handheld? I bet it was tough regardless. At this point, a pleasant switch of topic should be readily apparent. If not, and if all hope seems lost for not being a dick, attempt a final retreat to the Alamo of politeness with a well-timed, nice. Rule number 4. Learn to spot a dick. A big part of not being a dick on the internet comes from knowing someone has a history of being a dick on the internet in the past. When you understand the nature of a person, you can much better carve out whether or not their comments merit any thought at all, let alone an actual response. Look for these telltale signs that you might be dealing with a dick. The person has few to no followers on their respective social media outlets. Nobody likes a dick, so they're likely not going to attract much of an audience, hence the cyclic nature of their own insecurity, hence the dickish behavior. Refer to the graph from Rule 2. No profile photo. Internet dicks are oftentimes ashamed of themselves on some basilar level. They are likely to hide their mean-spirited, inflammatory comments behind a nameless and unrecognizable account or profile. Some internet dicks create online entities exclusively to spread their dickish behavior around the internet. They have little or no experience in photography. While arguable, it's been said that those who can't do, teach. Expounding, it is possible that those who can neither do nor teach, and who don't buy followers, become dicks on the internet. If the person who throws a harsh and pointless remark at your photo obviously can't produce their own work, well, they might have a big red D on their shirt. Rule number 5. Don't be a dick. This bears repeating before we leave here today. Some of these rules have been a little funny, a little weird, maybe sprinkled with a bit of well-intentioned satire from a guy who has made and shared his pictures and his words for a long time. The internet should be a great place for everyone, especially photographers. There's no avoiding all the negatives, but there's no reason for you to add to them either. If you find yourself wanting to say something that you might not say to a person's face, don't. If you find yourself being provoked by a career dick on the internet, try and let it go. You control your own reaction, not the behavior of others. You might not always be able to prevent yourself from falling into the trap each and every time, but at least you'll grow a bit as a person just in the trying. In short, be nice to people, especially fellow camera jockeys. Most of us are at the very least just a little bit crazy anyway. Treat people the way you want to be treated, regardless if you'll ever meet them in person. Follow these rules and you will avoid the terrible fate of becoming just another dick on the internet. And that's a good thing. And hey, if you have your own experience about dealing with unsavory people on the internet, especially if you are a photographer, well, feel free to put those comments, down there where they go. Just, don't be a dick.